How can it be that one of the largest states of the United States, Texas, is divided between bustling crowds and eerie quietness? Why is it that one half of this region, filled with deserts and flatlands, seems to be a forgotten frontier? Today, we're taking a deep dive to unveil the secrets of why these wide-open spaces remain so sparsely populated. Ready to dive in? But before we start, let's first get an idea of the vastness of the United States. A significant aspect of the United States is its impressive size, being the world's third largest country. However, there's more to it than just size. When we take a closer look, we begin to see the disparity in distribution of the US population. To elaborate on how uneven the distribution is, 80% of the population lives in the east, while only 20% lives in the west. And this distribution is even more striking in Texas. But why is there such a major difference? One of the main reasons is the historical settlement pattern of the US. The areas that were settled initially in higher concentrations have now grown to be the most busy and happening cities. The highest concentration was in the northeastern parts of the country, and it was the first to go through development and construction. Another reason why the settlement was found to be more in the northeastern regions was due to challenging landscapes such as mountains, forests, and deserts that became a hindrance in expanding toward the east in large numbers. Moreover, its terrain also proved to be another obstacle, making the west far less attractive to new settlers. There weren't many trade opportunities either, nor a steady flow of supplies, making it even more undesirable. But times have changed now. There's technology and machinery, so why is still a vast space left unattended? If you open up a map and divide Texas in two, with the middle line falling from Vernon to Laredo, you'll be astonished to find a staggering difference. Only 10% of Texans live to the west of this divide, while 90% live to the east. Putting numbers aside, if you think of the bustling cities that come to mind when one thinks of Texas, all are in the east: Houston, Austin, Dallas, and San Antonio. The only significant city of the west that comes to mind is El Paso, near the border of New Mexico. Other than that, the vastness keeps spreading. The west covers a massive region, including some parts of the south and north of Texas, and of course, the famous Panhandle. Now, one of the most fascinating areas of the west is what many affectionately call the Big Empty, or the Cowboy Alley. This Cowboy Alley covers approximately 1/3 of the Lone Star State. It stretches north of Abilene and east of Lubbock. This vast region of red dirt farms, massive ranches, and ghost towns is larger than some states, yet still boasts a population smaller than many urban zip codes. It's an area where the sky seems to stretch endlessly, and the roads are as unpopulated as the prairie. However, while Texas as a whole is flourishing, the population of the Big Empty has shrunk to a quarter of its size during the early to mid-20th century. But it is important to understand this decline isn't the outcome of historical trends only, but rather a reflection of the modern economic and social changes that are affecting rural America. It has empty terrains, housing few buildings, and quiet town squares, which doesn't provide its residents with many opportunities, pushing the younger residents to leave these towns in search of better prospects and a more vibrant life. The result? A shrinking population as families move away in search of brighter lights and larger markets. Economic diversification, once a hopeful mantra for the region, has largely fallen by the wayside. The big cities like Midland can be seen to have some growth because of the oil and gas boom, but if you zoom out to the rural areas, the story differs. People are flocking to urban hubs because of their rich job markets and amenities. This not only leaves behind small towns, fighting harder and harder day by day to survive, but also a major cultural void. Moreover, the region's isolation adds to the problem of scarce settlement. Its vast open spaces may be stunning and mesmerizing to look at, but they contribute to a sense of isolation, deterring people from wanting to make the region their forever home. The dwindling population in some of the towns provides a real-time example of this. In towns like Eerie, the population went from 640 in 1950 to a startling 158 in 2020. If this continues, soon the town will cease to exist, filled with abandoned buildings and overgrown schoolyards serving as reminders of a bygone era. Other than the isolation and lack of opportunities for growth, there are a plethora of other reasons why this region isn't desirable. Even in today's time of technology and advancements, West Texas continues facing serious geographical hurdles. The region is nestled in the Great Plains and is known for its dry climate, largely because of its distance from the Gulf of Mexico, which acts as the primary source of moisture for many southeastern states, including Texas. By the time the moisture-laden air reaches the region, it has mostly dissipated. Now add to that the elevated Panhandle, which experiences drier air due to its altitude. On top of that, the Rocky Mountains that don't directly block West Texas prevent some moisture-packed air from the Pacific Ocean from reaching. This combination gives life to the extreme weather conditions the West Texans face.
You just don't expect to see prairie dogs here in Trans-Pecos, Texas, but they're here, right in this beautiful little mountain basin grassland. And these grasslands occur when we move up just a little bit in elevation above the desert, and we have these fine textured soils that are perfect for growing grass, but they're also perfect for the burrowing of prairie dogs.
Scorching summers and freezing winters, making daily chores and farming a huge hassle. To add to the list, there's also the matter of water scarcity. Texas lacks major rivers, and the vital groundwater source, Ogallala Aquifer, is depleting at an alarming rate. Some experts have estimated that at current usage rates, the groundwater would be completely bone dry in 30 years. Without appropriate water sources, any population in this region will cease to exist, leaving behind ghost towns. The limited water supply isn't just interfering with agricultural practices, but also day-to-day life. Although efforts are being made to tackle these water issues,
there's a window of opportunity here for us to get this aquifer onto a more sustainable path. Not sustainability, but on a more sustainable path. And the key there is to reduce pumping.
Innovative conservation methods and upgrading infrastructure, the climates and isolation make these efforts quite challenging. Another feature of West Texas is dust storms. The flat terrain and lack of any windbreakers mean dust storms are pretty common. Although extreme dust storms are less common these days, occasional storms do still occur, causing difficulties in farming and for those with respiratory issues. On the bright side, the West has seen a boost in its economy because of the entry of the oil industry. Texas is the largest oil-producing state in the US, contributing nearly half of the country's oil, and the Permian Basin in West Texas is a major player. There's no doubt the oil industry boosted the economy of West Texas, but it also created a cycle of boom and bust. To elaborate, towns like Kermit saw great and rapid growth after soil discoveries, only to face downturns when the oil rush slowed down. The economic landscape of West Texas has now been shaped and defined by industries like oil drilling and ranching, which require a great amount of land but offer fewer employment opportunities. This has led to there being a lack of infrastructure, which includes roads, hospitals, and schools. Without these institutes present, the chances of attracting new residents or retaining current ones are close to none. But there's still hope with tech and renewable energy projects gaining traction. There's a possibility for a shift in the region's economic landscape. Improved infrastructure and smarter water use could open up new opportunities for its residents, making West Texas a more attractive place to live in.